Okay, so I'm reshooting my trigger disassembly video. My smartphone followers all were having no problems, but my PC viewers, unfortunately, the way it's formatted, the way I shot it, was not showing up well on the PC. And of course, I want everybody to be able to see this. I want everybody to see it, and I'm also going to go ahead and take the opportunity to make some improvements as far as instruction while I'm here and just focus on this trigger area. So when would you take apart the trigger? People ask. When will you do it? Well, I just had a subscriber have to take it apart because the seal in here was bad. Now the seal in here, as I'm getting more into with my videos, is like this Danco kit. It's a number 7. And I'm telling people to try to get parts from the store, and there's a couple other ways I'm going to try my best to show you to get parts so you don't have to rely on Game-O Daisy. It's not wrong to call them, but you never know what's going to happen in the future. And also, they're not going to be upset if you're not bothering their customer service reps when you're able to fix it yourself. So there's a number 7 out of the kit. Call it the Danco treasure chest. So let's go ahead and just concentrate on the trigger. So let's go ahead and take this thing apart. And we're going to use a weight. I didn't use this before. This is superior for dealing with your trigger, taking it apart, putting it back together. I can't emphasize enough. Use this. The other one I got, the first trigger disassembly video, I got pretty slick. But let's go ahead and use this. And the hole comes in handy for pounding out pins. So let's go ahead and do that with our ball peen hammer. Okay. So let's go over some finer points here about your trigger. Okay, so obviously this is a safety catch. Well, it's not obvious. A lot of people don't know that. It keeps your gun from firing when your bolt is open. You don't want this thing riding on top of here. If when you put it back together, it's riding on top of there, it won't work. You have to do it over. It needs to be underneath what I call metal lip, or the breech area. It needs to be underneath that metal lip. And if it's not, then do it again. Okay, so why are you taking apart your trigger? Well, it's unlikely, very highly likely, that, like my subscriber, he had a leaky O-ring here. So, there we go. You get that out of your Danco kit, number 7. And in another video, I'll explain that these are absolutely good for your air gun. They're a 70 Duro, which is a rating, and they absolutely will work in your air gun. So there are silicone, what do you call it? Yes, there are silicone versions of this, but they are for things with extreme temperatures. These typical standard rubber ones will work. Okay, so you put it in a new seal. You get it out of your kit. All right, your Danco kit, and you put it in there. I would put it in here separate from your valve assembly, and you plug that in there. And then we look at your valve while we're here. If it's beat up or cracked or something, you need to get a new one. And there's a couple ways you can do it. As I speak right now, you can get it from Daisy, but I'm going to show you another way to get this part. All right, so the top, the plastic, is it cracked or flat or anything like that that would keep your gun from holding air? Because if that's damaged, then you won't hold your air. So when you pull your trigger, this pulls down, release the air into your barrel. And there's a spring that needs to be in working order, and of course the clip. If the clip is busted off, this won't work, and you'll have to get a pair of pliers to pull on that rod to let the air out, so you can safely let the air out and replace this piece. But this one obviously looks good, so we'll go ahead and put it right back in. We put in a new number 7 O-ring, and we're going to go ahead and put that in there and twist it in there. And again, I apologize that PC users were having a hell of a time watching my videos. I just didn't know. And so now we'll go ahead and do this. And so this should look good. Right, now let's put the gun back together. Let's go over some fine points here, what I didn't do before. Okay, so we have a mating point here with that slot right here that has to mate with that. So it needs to mate like this. Okay, and then you have a catch right here that needs to catch on this arm right there to release your valve and fire your gun. It pulls on this arm, that releases your valve and releases air, and that fires your gun. I use words sometimes in my videos, just layman terms like firing pin and things like that when I was talking about the Grizzly, but there's no firing pins. It's a valve. It's a valve release. You can say it's a valve pin, but here, yeah, this catch has to catch this arm and pull down, and this has to be mated to that. So let's go ahead and get it put back together. There's a lip in here. Again, you cannot have it riding on top of that lip into your breech area. You'll have to do it over. So let's put your arm on. So there it is right there. And okay, now you put a smooth pin. You got 2 pins for this because the other pin, there's a third pin, but that has to do with your chamber seal and this area here. So we're just going to go ahead and put this smooth pin smooth on both sides. Make sure it's that one, because the one with the gnarly edge is for your trigger. Okay, usually just goes right in. Okay, now this isn't quite proper. We need to make sure, take your punch and get this thing so that you can see that gap. See that hole? Right there. That thing's got to be visible. You can see it from that side. There you go. I want to make sure to get that clear in this video. Now there's a couple things you have to watch out for. You have to make sure this pin doesn't fall out, or you have to do it over again. You have to make sure this looks good. This safety catch is underneath that metal ledge. If it comes on top, you have to do it over again. It's very difficult to try to get it back under, I can tell you that much. And again, you can see that clear hole right here, right there, right there. So let's get this thing put back together. And I prefer the push down on, they say it's a hammer, it's not really a hammer. It looks like a hammer, and some people can perceive it. Again, firearm terminology, it's not really hitting a primer or anything like that, but it sort of looks like a hammer, so I just use the term. So then we line up, we put the spring on that mark right here, on this catch right there, and we get your trigger up in there so that that catch catches on that arm and gets up into that slot. And that's the trick. You're trying to do two things at once, and I got it. So, okay, so we just wrestle with this a little bit. I'm watching that. There we go. Push down on it. Push there. I hear that click. Okay, so now you see that. It's up through that hole. Beautiful shot. And I'm going to use this as something I didn't do in my last video. That catch is caught on that arm. So it's up in here. It's up in there. You can see that. And keep your thumb on it. You see I'm not letting this thing go. It's up on there. And that catch has caught that arm right there. Okay, so now, okay, and this pin's in here. Make sure this pin here doesn't fall out. This catch looks good. The safety catch is good. So everything's ready to put back together. So we take this. There's the gnarly side. You put that on the back side, smooth side first. Remember that this does not center. You do not center your Daisy 880 trigger. That is a common frustration where they never get their guns put back together. So don't do that. Okay, there we go. I got it through the tunnel of the trigger. Okay, make sure no pins fall out. Make sure this pin is in there. Okay, good. All right, now let's take a close look at this. I'm going to recap this again. There's a gap there. You can beautifully see that there. It's totally braced up against the side here. It favors this side very heavily. Gap here, gnarly side on this side. So you don't hammer from this side. You can't see what the hell's going on. You could damage this, potentially even run your frame. So there's a sharp edge right here. It goes perfectly on the edge of the weight. You line it up. You line up. There we go. See, it actually just went in almost by itself. I know it's from a little distance, but see, that pin went back in. I put it on the edge of that weight. Right on the edge. And then give it a little tap just for good measure. And there you go. Now, the hammer's been cocked. The gun's cocked. When you load your pellet and it comes forward, it pushes down that safety catch. So now let's test it to make sure this is working properly. Push down on it. There we go. And that's it. And hopefully for my PC users, this is very clear and you got everything. And I will show you in my next video how to get parts to totally fix your gun without relying on Game Mode Daisy. And I will show you new tools, including a proper, this right here. This, a very savvy air gunner, let me know, should be what I should be telling people to use on your O-rings, and that's correct. And we will get into that into my next video. Okay, well, thank you very much, and for my PC users, hopefully this is much better for you.